The world famous Butch and Bob Show.
World famous Butch and Bob Show here on WIFO 105.5 FM in Jesup, Big Dog Country Radio. Well, Bob, we got lots of guests on the show this morning, so let's go ahead and get started with our first one. Who do we have?
Yeah, we got them racked, stacked, and packed today. But first, we start with Congressman Buddy Carter. Buddy, appreciate you calling in. Always good to talk to you. I saw you survived the St. Patrick's Day in Savannah. We look for you for the good news in Washington, so we'll start with that. Give me some good news in Washington.
Well, the good news is it looks like we're going to get a funding bill done tomorrow, and looks like we're going to avoid a government shutdown, which I think is a good thing. I don't think really, a government shutdown is good. Yeah, it brings attention to a lot of problems, but it also creates a lot of problems when you do that as well. But so I'm really happy that I feel like I'm confident that we'll get this done tomorrow. We've got 6 more bills to do, about 70% of the total budget. Things sound good. The 4 corners, the ones who are in the room negotiating have all agreed on it. So it looks like we'll be voting on it tomorrow and getting it passed and avoiding the shutdown.
Sounds good. Again, we always get your thoughts. You get briefed on these wars. U.S. has always had a pro-Israel stance, but lately many in the U.S. still support Israel, but not so much the leader of Israel. So how do you see this playing out?
Well, that, of course, the majority leader over in the Senate, Chuck Schumer, made comments about Netanyahu. Now, we don't necessarily agree with that in the House, at least the majority of us. I'm sure there are some who do agree with it, but we don't necessarily agree with that. In fact, I will tell you that at our conference meeting yesterday, we discussed inviting him to come speak to the House, and I think that an invitation is going to be pending for him to come address us.
Netanyahu?
We have Netanyahu.
Okay,
yes.
I got you.
So
I just want to make sure you weren't inviting Chuck Schumer on him.
no. He can wait on that invitation as long as he wants. But anyway, it's not going to be forthcoming, not from a Republican-controlled House, I'll assure you of that. But he has been very critical of Netanyahu, and the President Biden has been critical of Netanyahu as well. Look, no one wants to see innocent civilians killed or injured or suffering. But, everybody talks about a ceasefire. I am one. I've said, and I'll continue to say, that I'm in favor of a ceasefire as soon as Hamas is wiped off the face of the earth. And I mean that sincerely. They need to be gone, and I agree with Netanyahu. Again, don't want to see any innocent civilians hurt or killed. But at the same time, we've got to get rid of Hamas.
Again, on the phone with us is Congressman Buddy Carter. Then there's the war in Ukraine. Ukraine still needs U.S. funding, but I understand that funding still is being held up at this time because they're looking for some other type of agreement. Where do we stand on that?
Well, that's a great question, and I'll be quite honest with you. There is some disagreement within our conference. There are some who believe that we should go ahead with a clean bill and just fund Ukraine. Let me make sure that everyone understands that no one wants to see Putin win this war. No one wants to see Putin successful here. We understand and we know full well that he won't stop here, that he'll continue. But at the same time, we've got to have this administration pay attention to what's going on at our border. I know I've mentioned to you before, when I'm at home, people ask me all the time, how can you justify sending money to another country to secure their border when our border is not secure? And our border is not secure. And I still think the prevailing sense in the Republican conference in the House is that, yes, we want to help Ukraine, we want to fund Ukraine, but we've got to have funding for our own border first.
That border crisis became crystal clear here in the state of Georgia with that unfortunate death in Athens, Georgia. Your thoughts on that, and has that sparked any conversation in Washington?
Absolutely. It has sparked a lot of conversation in Washington. First of all, it's truly a tragedy. Our flagship university, University of Georgia, Athens, I know exactly where it took place, and it was a horrible, horrible thing. And then for the president to mispronounce her name, he called her Lincoln Riley. Mr. President Lincoln Riley is a coach at USC. It's Lakin Riley, and he pronounced her name, and then he apologized to the murderer because he called the murderer an illegal immigrant, and he said, I should have referred to him as an undocumented immigrant. Give me a break. I mean, how ridiculous is that? But I think it shows just how out of touch that this president and this administration are with what's going on at the southern border. And don't think for one moment, Bob, that this is an isolated incident, that this is just the one thing that's happened. This is happening everywhere. 2 weeks ago, I was at the Exchange Club meeting in Savannah, and a father walked up to me and he said, my daughter is 13 weeks pregnant. Yes, and he said last night she was driving on her way to home to Skidaway Island, and she was rear-ended by an illegal immigrant who was drunk and had an open container in his car and totaled the car. Thank God his daughter is okay. But immediately he ran up to the car and started knocking on the windshield and saying, no license, no police, no license, no police. This was in Savannah.
Mm. Finally, the presidential race. Many Americans not happy with the two choices. Do you see any third candidate coming at the last minute? This Kansas City series, I saw where he's looking to land Aaron Rodgers as his running mate. I thought he was going to play football for New York Jets. But anyway, any chance anybody's coming out and giving Americans, because all the polls show 70-75% of Americans just not happy with the two choices. Many feel that both candidates are just simply too old to run the country and have the most important job in the country.
And most important job in the world.
In the world, there you go.
I'll take it. Yeah. Well, and there is that sense that 340 million people in this country, and these two are the best we can do. There are a lot of people who feel that way. I am supporting President Trump because of his policies. I think he's right on policy. And, elections have consequences. And the reasons that elections have consequences is because policies have consequences. And the policies of this administration have failed. They have failed us at the southern border. They failed our economy. We're supposed to be cheering now because inflation's at 3.5%. When this president took office, it was at 1.4%. He has mishandled the economy. He's mishandled everything, and the southern border. And I think that those two issues alone are going to be enough to help President Trump win again. And I think that, if the election were held today, now there's a long time between now and the election. Let's keep that in mind. A lot can change, and it probably will 2 or 3 times. But at the same time, the focus needs to be on policies. And right now, it looks as if these are the two candidates. I don't see a third candidate coming up. I don't know who RFK Jr. is going to help or hurt. I suspect he may take some votes away from Joe Biden. But I don't think it's going to be a significant amount. I don't think it's going to be like when H.W. Bush ran and Ross Perot took so many votes away from him that Bill Clinton won. But I don't think it's that same scenario, but at the same time, I think he will have some impact.
All right. Yeah, we got a stacked program day. We'll lead you out on this. Anything you need to tell us that you really on your mind that we need to know about before I let you go?
Well, again, it's, hopefully we get this budget done. That's extremely important. We don't really need the government to shut down at all. We need to get this funding done. And there are some good wins in this funding, in this budget. There are some cuts and some significant cuts. This is a start. This is not the end. This is the beginning of what I hope will be more fiscally responsible budgets in the future.
Sounds great, buddy. Always appreciate you calling in. Hopefully we'll get you in the studio soon, have a full show with you. But appreciate you calling here on this Thursday, and appreciate the update.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Butch.
All right, thank you very much. All right, Congressman Betty Carter, our special guest here on the world-famous Butch and Bob Show. We got guests in the green room. We got someone else calling in, a Georgia State representative that wants to push the bill on gambling, and we'll talk to him in just a moment. Plus, we got some folks in the studio out there in the green room to talk about the upcoming event at the Farmers Market. All that coming up in a moment right here on 105.5 FM Jesup, Big Dog Country, WIFO. Big Dog Country Radio, WIFO, 105.5 FM in Jesup. Bob, we got guests in the studio with us. Who do we have?
Got the Farmers Market people in there. So how y'all doing today? Farmers Market about to crank up?
Yes, it is. And good morning
to you both. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
So I'm Amanda Ryan, the Farmers Market Manager.
And I'm Candy Harris, and I'm on the board.
Okay.
Candy Harris on the board. I didn't have your mic up yet, so I had to say it again. Candy Harris on the board there at the farmers market. So go ahead, Amanda.
Well, our farmers market is doing our big barbecue and blues kickoff. It is going to be Saturday, April 6th. So right now we are in the process of getting all of our sponsors together from previous years for the 2024 season. So at our barbecue and blues, we're going to have dinner, of course, Boston butts and all kinds of delicious sides. We're also going to have a silent auction. So some of our local boutiques and stores here, our family-owned places, are donating goodie baskets. Even some of our vendors are donating some of their handmade goods. That's always fun. I love watching the little kids try to bid each other up on the chocolate chip cookies. We had some bakers do some donations. That was probably the cutest thing to watch last year.
It was.
We'll also have a 50-50 raffle, and we have entertainment. Mr. Jeff Chandler, who does an awesome job, is going to be there. We also have a family-friendly comedian, Mr. Briggy, is going to be there. And then we have a new singer. Her name is Miss Chloe Price, and she is going to be playing the guitar and singing. And she is a young teenager, and I have seen her perform, and she is really awesome, all self-taught. So I'm excited for that night. You want to talk about the tickets, Miss Candy?
Yes, we've got tickets available. Adult tickets are $25. For 12 and under are $15. And you can get tickets by reaching either me or Amanda. Amanda's phone number is 578-9069. And my number is 912-424-9026, and you can call us or text us if you'd like to get those tickets.
We'll meet up with you and make that happen. We have to say a huge thank you to our sponsors. So first off, our presenting sponsor this year for the very first time, and I'm super excited to talk about this sponsor. I did some business with them over Christmas, and they were excellent to deal with. He was super helpful, and that's Mr. Chad Burke of American Steel Buildings USA. Now, if you've ever thought about getting a steel building on your property, I would highly suggest it. The prices are fantastic. We had to do some upgrades on ours to make it suit what we wanted. It was super affordable, and so Mr. Chad Burke of American Steel Buildings, give him a call. He will take care of all of your steel building needs. We have our table sponsors, which is EAM Domtar. We have Wayne County Board of Commissioners. We also have Sheffield's with Mr. Scott Hoyle. We have our half table sponsors, which include Altamaha Federal Credit Union, Hog and Bones, Overholt Construction, and Yoder Metals. We also have a bunch of friends of the market, some local insurance agencies like Allstate, Crawford Jewelers, Gary Dorsey and Associates, Great Southern Wood Preserving. We have Jones Prescription Shop, Sinotronics, and State Farm under Mr. David Earl Keith. We also have some fantastic in-kind sponsors that give us all the good stuff that makes our blues and barbecue event so much fun, and that's Mr. Nick Harris, Jacob Weaver, and the Wayne County Garden Clubs. They're going to be doing our tabletop decor, so we're excited for that.
I'd also like to throw out a really heartfelt thank you to the city of Jesup. We've partnered with them since day one. That property actually belongs to the city, and they've allowed us to have the farmers market for going on 9 years now. And so we just really are grateful and thankful for their support and partnership.
You want to give the date again?
Yes, so the date is April 6th at 6 o'clock, 6 to 8. And to piggyback off what Miss Candy was saying about thanking the city of Jesup, it is a wonderful thing that we have a farmers market. I've been to a lot of different gatherings of other farmers market networking events, and that is one of the difficult things that they have, is to be able to get a piece of property to have a farmers market. And our location is a premium market, because not only are we on a deck and the vendors are provided a table, they're also provided a covering, and we have restrooms, and that's just a huge plus. A lot of other markets are a little jealous of the fantastic market that we have, so we really have to thank the city of Jesup for that, and for maintaining the grounds. It's always a nice place to go visit. And our markets are Fridays and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We have lots of vendors. We have not only some fruits and vegetable vendors, which I want to say our fruits and vegetables, for the most part, come from our local farms. And a lot of people don't really understand that, because we do live so close to Florida, and there's a lot of great crops that are grown in Florida that we get. But most of our fruits and vegetables do come locally and in season when they're available.
Okay. So once again, the date of the event,
it's April 6th, which is a Saturday from 6 to 8 p.m.
and everyone's invited.
That's right. Everyone's invited. If you don't get a ticket beforehand, we do ask that you let us know if you want to get a ticket or if you want to show up the day of. Give us a call or a text, and we will make sure to have a ticket for you. Again, my phone number to get a ticket is 561-578-9069, and Miss Candy's number is 912-424-9026. And we're also still taking on sponsors. We have a few more tables that are available to be sponsored, so don't hesitate. We'll be talking about your company next time we're on the radio right before the Blues and Barbecue if you want to be a sponsor.
Back on again. You're already scheduled to come back on
That's
again.
right.
Good,
we
good.
are.
Oh, we look forward to having you back on again.
Well,
good
thank you.
luck with the event.
Thank you.
And,
we're going to leave you with 2 tickets that you can give out how you see fit.
All right. We'll just leave them here, and we'll give them away.
All right. We'll do.
All right. Y'all
Thank
take
you so
care.
much.
All right.
Thank you.
105.5 FM in Jesup, Big Dog Country Radio, WIFO. We continue on with the world famous Butch and Bob show. And Bob, we've got a special guest on the phone with us right now. Who do we have, Bob?
Right now, we got State Representative. I want to make sure I get his name right. Marcus Wildauer. Is that correct?
Close enough.
Close enough. I'm sorry. Go ahead and tell us how to pronounce it. I'm sorry.
It's weed hour, but
Weed
hey,
hour.
Sorry.
Okay.
Well, I said, well,
I was just curious. First of all, under the world, the Butch and Bob show is world famous. Just wondered how you found out about our show to call in this morning.
Well, being in this role, we get friends across the state, and I've heard some good things about y'all, so just wanted to share where we're at and answer any questions you guys might have.
Okay, you're from the Watkinsville area, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but what I understand is you want to talk about the legislation trying to push sports betting through. I know, talking to our local representatives, they tell us they don't think it's got much of a chance. So tell us why you think it does have much of a chance and why you'd like to see this passed.
Well, the biggest reason right now for me is number one, it is prevalently everyone. So many people are doing this right now. We have no safeguards. We have no regulation. There's 38 states that have passed this measure, and all those tax dollars that listen, people in Georgia are doing it right now with VPNs or they're avoiding the geofencing that we have in place in the state to prevent bets from being placed. They're circumventing all that. Those tax dollars are going to Tennessee and North Carolina, and we're also not offering Georgians any protection for if they're engaging in this behavior. Ironically, I haven't wagered on sports ever. I don't really like to gamble. It's not how I like to spend my time, but I like to protect the people that are doing it. Again, 38 states have passed this, and this is no bricks and mortar. I'm not a proponent for casinos or horse racing. This is mobile online sports betting, period. That's it. And ultimately, it's a constitutional amendment. If I'm wrong and the voters don't want it, just let them decide it. And let's put this conversation to bed. It's been talked about for so long. Just let the voters decide, and we'll go from there.
So that's really what you're saying there is the fact that you want to get it passed so it comes up as for the voters to vote on next November, whether they want it or not y'all just passing it yourselves into becoming law. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
And
if Georgia wants it, they want it. If they don't, they don't.
right. And what are the chances? Like I said, where does this stand right now in the legislature? Like I said, you're a state representative. You're up there discussing it. Are you getting any help?
Yeah, we're late in the session. Obviously, today is day 38. We only got 2 more left next week with a couple of committee days. This will be heard again this afternoon. We're trying to vet it well so everybody has an opportunity to speak their mind on it. Hopefully, it would come out of committee on Monday, and we'll see if it makes it to the floor either next Tuesday or next Thursday.
So next Thursday we may learn the fate of it.
One way or the other.
One way or the other.
By
So-
midnight next Thursday, we're heading home.
And like I said, you're just trying to get it where the people have a chance to vote on it on a ballot. Is that correct? If it does,
That's correct.
if you're successful, when would that vote take place? The following year? Would it be
It would
by
come up this
itself?
It would come up this November.
It would come up this
on,
November. Okay, so it would be during the presidential election.
Which I also appreciate, right? I mean, more people are going to be at the polls than ever than on some of these other off-year elections. so we get a true sampling of what does Georgia really want to do with this subject.
All right. I can still remember when people had to go across the line to get the lottery tickets, but you find lottery tickets everywhere. So
You find lottery tickets. You got co-am machines in these convenience stores, which, quite frankly, I have voted against. It's again, this is something that it doesn't. If you were to place a bet right now, sitting in that room, no one around you would know. You're not affecting somebody else's lifestyle if you choose to engage in this. Again, not bricks and mortar, simply online sports betting, and just let Georgia voters decide.
And I heard an ad. So if it does pass, say you get on the ballot and it does pass, the question is, where's the money going to go? And I understand most of it's going to go towards education, the state lottery, or the Georgia Hope Fund, right?
That's right.
So just explain where the money's going to go.
Yeah, so it all goes into the lottery fund, and the one of my criticisms, quite frankly, with right now with the lottery is that they're sitting on billions of dollars in reserves when we've got kids that can't get state-funded pre-K slots. Right now, fortunately, the state's in an economic place where we are fully funding Hope scholarships, so we continue to be able to fund that. We put 100 to 150 million more dollars towards pre-K programs, but there's in some of the enabling language, one of the things that we've got in there is it forces the lottery to spend, deploy the dollars that we all signed up for to put towards education. So it forces them to actually implement and deploy those dollars, which is going to open up more spots for kids right now that are on waiting lists that we can't get pre-K slots for.
Well, again, we appreciate you calling in. Wish you the best of luck. Like I said, I think most people would like to see it on a ballot. And like I said, it would decide it once and for all where the state of Georgia does stand. So that's one way to determine it. And
that's exactly how I feel about it. But let's just let them decide.
I want to ask you, State Representative. I'll get this last name again right. Wiedner? Wiedauer from Watkinsville, just outside of the Classic City. And because both Bob and I went to University of Georgia. So went through Watkinsville many, many times from Jesup up to Athens through the years. But how does the logistics of this work? Right now, if folks from the state of Georgia want to do sports betting online, how do they do that? And how would it change if the voters of Georgia decided that Georgia could, in a sense, host it or handle it in some sort of way? Go ahead.
Well, if you're anything like me, you learn about technology from your children. So, the first time I understood what a VPN was when my child came home and told me that at school they got to go onto this VPN program to be able to get on the internet while they're in the school because the school geofenced out the ability for them to get out of anything that wasn't internal. And I was like, tell me more about that. So what people are doing is it basically masks where your phone is. So people are the simple click of a button on an app, and all of a sudden your phone thinks it's in, or your phone would tell the internet that you're in North Carolina. And it would allow you to go on one of these operators' accounts or one of these operators' programs and place a bet. Now, that money, winning, losing, whatever, will be taxed in the state in which the phone thinks it's in. And those tax dollars are going to those states. And people are doing it right now. And you can see, we put out these heat maps around the national championship game, and how many bets were attempted in Georgia and turned down. Well, those people didn't stop there, right? They try to place a bet. Georgia geofences it out. They just circumvent it and go around and say they're in North Carolina or Tennessee and place the bet.
Yeah. Well, I've said many times on the program, my vision there, we're close to Jekyll Island. My vision is to have a Hard Rock Cafe down there on Jekyll Island with concerts, and in my old age, I can go down and deal cards. So that's what I'm hoping. So, but like I said, I'd like to see it on the ballot myself. Like I said, but talking to our local representatives, they're pretty much against it. So we wish you the best luck. I appreciate you calling in. Always good to have other state representatives on the show, but I appreciate you calling in here on the World Famous Butch and Bob Show and talking about your hopes to get on the ballot. And again, wish you the best of luck.
Well, thank you for having me.
What should our
Go ahead.
listeners do? Let's say that they are for this amendment or whatever to be put on the ballot. What should they do to help get it on the ballot so Georgians can vote to whether they want to have online gambling or not here in the state of Georgia? Anything the folks out there who would like to see it done or not to see it done, but from your standpoint you want to see it done, what can you do to help that along between now and next Thursday?
Yeah, I mean, in almost any subject matter, right, the opposition is going to be typically the louder voice, right? And if your state representative is not hearing from you and your opinion on this, they need to hear it, because otherwise they're going to hear only the 2 or 3 people that are. And I've talked to some folks down in your area. I know what they're hearing. When I asked them how many people were talking, and honestly, it's like a handful. So reach out to your state representative, let them know where you stand on this matter so they can properly represent you. You don't tell them, and that's for any subject matter.
Right.
If you don't reach out and let them know where you're at with something, then they're taking an educated guess on what they think you got.
Okay. I know it's come up each year for the last few years, and whether it makes this year or not, we'll see. But I know if it doesn't make it this year, it'll be tried next year for it to be put on the ballot for folks to be able to vote on. So it's an ongoing subject that will, I think, be introduced every single year until the voters do vote on it, don't you?
It certainly seems that way, and just let the voters decide, and let's move on with it. I've grown tired of the conversation myself, quite frankly. So we'll just we'll see, and hopefully we get an opportunity to let everybody just speak their mind on it and be done with it once for all.
All right. Thank you very much, Marcus.
Yes, sir. You guys have a great day.
Take care. All right. Bye-bye. All right. State Representative Marcus Wiedauer there from Watkinsville talking about how he'd like to see the online gambling voted on, so it'll be on the ballot this coming November, so the voters in the state of Georgia can make the decision whether they want to have online betting. See, I was interested in the logistics of it, Bob, because I didn't know how that worked, because there's folks all over the state of Georgia who do online betting. Right. And I was wondering, how do they do that? They live in the state of Georgia. Well, they go through these companies that show that you're, like he said, that your phone or your computer or laptop or tablet or whatever is in North Carolina or in a state that allows it, which means that any monies that go through there, those states get those taxes and not the state of Georgia. So you've got these major thousands of people here in the state of Georgia that do online betting, and all their monies go through those states, and those states get the taxes on it. And it just seems to be a growing interest with folks. I mean, if you listen to our AM station, Fox Sports Radio 1370 AM, The Buzz WLOP, many of their segments are sponsored by sports betting.
Right. Anytime you watch a Sunday football game too, before Monday Night Football, I mean, you see the commercials.
You see the commercials. They have experts on there to help you
Fox
pick.
I mean, it's all it's all taking place. But I thought he made a good point. Just let the people decide, put on the ballot,
and that's all it is. They're not deciding for us.
That would maybe end the discussion once and for all. So,
right. Let the people decide and let it go from there.
I think the fear is they know if it's on the ballot that it's most likely going to pass.
Most likely to pass. Right. Well, in the state, and like it was with the lottery years ago, back when Zell Miller was a governor in the early 90s, the urban areas really wanted the lottery, and they really want the online gambling, where the more rural areas see it as something that should not be done. So,
like I said, I still remember those days where people would get together and they'd pay one guy to drive down 301 past 800, past folks, and cross and bring back the lottery tickets. So now you don't have to worry about that. Any convenience store you go into now, there's
been that way ever since 93, 94,
right.
somewhere along there, 94, I think.
And there's always about the money. There's a lot of money to be made. Like I said, it could go to a good cause, but like I said, there's a lot of people against it. So it'd be interesting to see if he's successful. But like I said, talking to Blake and Stephen and Buddy, they don't see it getting out of the legislature this year. Right. So like you said, it'll be a discussion once again the following year.
Sooner or later, it will be put up on for people to vote. And it's like State Representative Marcus there said, Wiedauer said that it would be good to have it a year when you have in the presidential election because you have a greater percentage of the voters to get out and vote, which means you'd have a better cross-section of what Georgians want. And 2 years from now, if you did it, it would be the governor's race. That's still a popular event, but it's still not the turnout as a presidential election.
Well, what's interesting too, statewide, you don't see the governor fighting. You know, he's really nobody's taking. You know, if it gets on the ballot,
it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Right? They're
Yeah.
just. I mean, they're kind of neutral in the situation. In the years past, you know, you've seen the governor take a stance one way or the other, but now it's like if it, you know, the voters want to vote for it, so be it. So
Yeah.
but I just know talking to our representatives, they don't see it.
They
you
don't.
know,
They do not
don't
see it getting put on the ballot for
right,
folks to
right.
vote on in
Yeah.
November. Not this year.
They think it's a dead issue this year. That's
Yeah.
what
Well, they
tell
only
me.
got 1 week left.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we do appreciate him calling in.
Yeah, we do. We had that's a new state representative there that's never been on the show before. State Representative Marcus Wadauer.
I said he heard about it.
Is it Wiedauer?
Wiedauer,
Wiedauer.
yeah.
I was saying Y for some reason. Wiedauer.
But he
from
reached out. He heard
Watkinsville.
about the show up there in Atlanta during the legislature, so he called and asked if he could be on the show. Said we'd love to have him. So
Yeah, what happens ever so often? We'll get some of these state
we're
representatives.
world famous,
senators,
Bush. I
whatever.
said, and we keep telling people, you know,
Yeah.
just it's amazing how many people up in that Capitol listen to the show every day.
All right, Bob, you have a good day.
Look it up.
All right, the world famous Butch and Bob show here on WIFO 105.5 FM in Jesup. And it's brought to you by O'Quinn and Associates, Murphy Builder Supply, Vans Barbecue, and by First Southern Bank.